Hello to Stop Loss Matters. How are you, sir?
Hello, Nick. Nice to meet you, my man.
I'm glad
Not
that you're
too
here.
bad.
How are you doing this crazy market morning?
Wow. Yes, lots of volume today. A lot of volatility as well in
Yes.
certain markets. But I've seen you do some great trades. Wow, our trading styles are so different.
Really? Well, good. That's
Yes,
great.
good.
I'm
I love
excited to hear
that.
that because I love a fresh perspective.
Exactly.
So what's your reaction here this morning just to the volatility and the news that we had from the dollar? What are you
Well, I
thinking?
mean, obviously the news came out quite well for the US, which obviously saw gold pump quite aggressively. The numbers weren't actually significantly different as what was forecasted, which is quite surprising how much it moved, especially gold and the US pairs. But overall, yeah, quite good news for the US, which obviously had a
Yeah.
big drop on gold, which is what I was looking at.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, and one thing also, if you would like to share your screen, what you can do
Yeah.
is down at the bottom of the screen, there's a share button.
Oh,
If you
beautiful.
click that,
Yeah.
you can share your screen. We'd love to maybe just see whatever you're looking at currently. I know
Yeah,
there's just
beautiful.
so
We
much
can
happening,
take a
but
look
we'd
at
love to
that.
see yours.
Yes. Okay, I'll take a look. So I'll kind of go through my whole how I mark my charts up because they're probably a lot different to yours. So I think you
Sure.
trade. So how long is your trade on average?
Well, I'm a swing trader, so usually I'm trading from anywhere from 1 day to a week to 2 weeks, depending
Wow,
on.
amazing.
I'm holding trades. If they're working well, I try and just trail stops and hold
So,
them.
so
And
I love that, two people can be trading the same pair, but someone is trading. So for example, on average, my trades are maybe 5, 15, 30 minutes long
sure, so you're much
in a
more the day
time.
trading side.
Oh yes, yeah, very
Which is
much so.
awesome.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I'll take a
there's
look over
different
here.
ways to cut the market, which is cool.
Exactly,
Yeah,
it's great.
yeah, so
Um,
if you wanna share your screen, I'd love to see your take probably on the lower time frames even, that would be
Yes,
awesome.
for sure, for sure. I'll take a look at GJ because GJ is my main pair. Can you see this over here? I think
I can
we're
see
all
it,
good
yep,
now.
we're good.
Beautiful. So actually, we just seen a nice little rally in GJ before. But so the first thing that I do when I start off on the day, obviously I trade London because I'm from the
Sure,
UK, and that's where a lot of volume is in GJ as well. But the first things I'll do is because I trade obviously in the lower time frames, they're quite a low confirmation, aren't they? The low confirmation, you'll know that the higher the time frame, the more confirmation because the more time in the candles, right?
sure,
So when you're trading like I am, you need to be able to see the higher time frame. What is the story of the higher time frame? And then using the lower time frames to take entries. So obviously, the first thing I do is I always like to add my daily flips on. So I'll look at my daily flips, and this will act for two reasons. I'll show you one reason why. So over here, the 4 hours just closed over here, very very bullish again.
mhm.
So here's my 4 hour flips and my daily flips. So you can see right now we are very bullish, right? The previous daily candle was closed bearish, but we did exceed the high. And look where we've just tapped now. We've tapped the daily resistance.
Right,
But what I was looking for before in London session was potential entries a bit lower to try and ride it up. So what I normally do is I use my support and resistances mainly on the 15 and the 30 minute. Okay. So if you take a look at a bit lower down, so at 8 o'clock over here, we're ranging a bit between the 8 o'clock, which was a shame. So I didn't actually take any trades today. And this is because normally my basis is off clean candles to the left. So if I have clean candles to the left, that means that price in that area moves quite nicely, right?
sure.
Um, so when I take trades, I'm looking for them clean candles. Now, obviously, now when we broke above, this was news in the morning for London,
Yep,
and I never take news. Okay, the reason why I don't take news is because of the fact the stop loss for me is kind of a guess. It's a gamble. Exceeding the highs here, great. But when we exceeded the highs here, we rejected. The probability of it continuing, obviously, with the news is nice. But for me, I like clean setups with nice stop losses. So normally my stop losses is based on the main structure of candles, which is higher highs and higher lows, right? On the
sure.
30-minute time frame, on the hourly time frame, on the daily time frame, they all work pretty well. So you can see over here, some bearish structure came down here. Can you see that in the bearish structure, we always exceed the low and we never exceed the high. So my stop loss, if I'm wanting to take a buy in certain instances, I'm wanting the stops below the previous candles because that's
Sure.
where it should respect. So obviously I trade in such a lower time frame to you. So I'll take you through a trade that I took a couple of days ago. Where was it? Trying to find it over here. Yeah, here. So obviously I trade support and resistance, breaks below, closes back above and ranges, etc. So let's just go through this time frame over here. So you can see that this area, so 156330 was respected quite heavily, okay? You take a look to the left hand side, it kind of makes sense with this level as well, because what do we know? We know when resistances are formed, so here, they always act as supports, or most of the time they act as supports when you come
Right.
back to it, as it's a key level, right?
Mhm.
So what I was looking for over here was either for GJ to close below to fill this zone over here. And if you look left, this is the next zone. So if we break support or resistances in this instance, where's price going to head down? Well, it's going to head to the next support, which is here, which is a
Sure. So was
closing range.
was your stop loss idea below that structure, or is that too big of a stop loss for you? What are you thinking?
So for me, I was looking for sells and buys, but my issue was, and I'll try and show you it over here, is that at this level, which was, I think, where was it? Here, the 30-minute time frame did not close below. Okay.
Got it.
So some people on my stream, so I stream on London, were like, Max, look, this 50-minute candle's closed below this zone. If we make a top wick and then flip and exceed the low, we're going to continue. But I go, however, this is straight at nearly at 8 a.m. Why don't you just wait another 15 more minutes for the hourly closure below? And then we get the hourly closure below, and it did not close below for us. So then we go, right, okay, we could be coming back into the range now, and we need to wait for some solid closures back in the zones to then potentially take buys to ride it back up to the next resistance, which would be here, right? So this is the zone. Okay. If we break and close below and wait for some nice closures below in this area, we're going to go for sells. But we didn't. We closed back above this zone. So for me now, when we got this closure, this is a strong closure back in the zone. All I had to wait now is for the lower wick and then flip and exceed the high. And I took a buy. You can take a look on the recaps over here. My stop loss was actually 10 pips at this area over here on this low. And then
Sure.
we continue to the highs over here. So my trade lasted maybe 50 minutes or so, and that was a nice little section. So my R to R in my trades is 1-to-1, sometimes 1-to-2, sometimes 1-to-3. But for the most part, the way I trade is the probability of it happening. So when
Sure.
I know my setups, if I take a big percentage of my data in the setups, my setups overall are around about 70 to 80% profitable. So
Sure.
it's not really too much about the RR for me, because I know if I get a 1-to-1, but I've got 80% win rate, I don't really too mind about the RR, do I? It's only when
Sure.
you have quite a lower percentage.
That
But yeah,
makes
mine
sense.
is,
So,
yeah.
question for you with that. So, you're looking for one-to-ones. Do you ever take partials? Are you literally just in, you're out, all in, all out kind of thing? What's
Beautiful.
your
Yeah.
approach in terms of
Great
that?
question. So for me, it depends. So if it's gold, gold is a completely different ball game, by the way. Gold you trade completely differently to GJ. The gold is very much different RR. So for me, when I trade gold, I will get some good R to Rs. Normally like 20 pip stops, 20 pip gains, 30 pip gains, 100 pip gains. It basically depends on what the higher time frames are telling me. So with GJ, if I take a trade over here, it'll be from the zone to zone. So for me, I took positions off at these highs, which is 15 pips, okay? Because
Sure.
I know price rejected that point. However, if I get into potential trades over here where the zone it's coming into is a lot bigger, so here, if we did take themselves and they actually got a nice closure below, a nice top wick and then a drive and exceeding the low, look how big this range is. This is 28 pips. So this is when my 10 pips stop in the next zone to
Got it.
continue to the next zone, 28 pips, I may hold. So what I would do is potentially close maybe like 70 to 80% at 19, 20 pips, nice 2-to-1. But I will potentially leave some runners if I've got the higher time frames with me to
Got
guide
it.
me. So yeah, it's all dependent
Very
on the
cool.
higher time
Yeah, it
frame.
makes sense. So it seems like you focus heavily a lot on like zone to zone kind of trading and
Sure. Yeah.
going for high probability, looking for confirmation in terms of candles, which is really cool.
Yeah.
What is your take on kind of current situation with pound yen breaking higher, or gold? Or actually, I know gold is a big question we have today. If you
Hmm.
want to share, like, just kind of with this volatility here this morning, what you're thinking,
Yeah.
what would be your reaction to gold today?
So gold today was very, very interesting. But first of all, you've got to do is take a look at the daily time frame. Now, what did the daily time frame show me at the start of the day? Okay, so now we're in the middle of the day. Obviously, news affects it. So what we always say is technical analysis. It's nice to do, but fundamentals will always outweigh technical. No matter how good your charts are set up, the
Sure.
fundamentals will completely eradicate it. So normally, I stay away from the news. However, if there's still if there's no news going on, then today was a perfect buy day on gold in certain areas. But I'll take a look at that in a sec. So the first thing is the last daily time frame. It closed above 1828, which was a key level. We wanted to break above. It couldn't do it since the 3rd of January. We finally got the closure above. And at the start of the day, we were making a lower wick. The price at that time did not exceed the low of the previous. So the buys are still valid, right? Now they're not, obviously, because of the news. But we know with bullish structure, I'll try and show you some nice ones over here. Can you see here? Bullish structure.
Yep.
The low of the next candle never exceeds the low of the previous. Okay.
Right.
Beautiful, beautiful candle structure here. Same with the sells. So for me, at the start of the day when I was looking at it in London, I was taking a look at potential buys. Now, the only issue is normally on a day of range, on a day of news, we get range before, which is what happened today. So we started off a bit higher. Some people on my chat took potential sells below this zone over here. So this 50-minute. So take a look from here. So zone to zone, we started the stream here. This is the current zone, right? So 1833 to 1835, we were ranging. So some people in my chat, for me, the zone was too small, but took a trade when this candle closed bearish below the zone into the next zone over here, and wait for the top wick, wait for the flip, take a trade here with stop loss below. Stop loss above into the next zone, and then we got a nice trade here. So some people over here took that nice risk to reward, and that trade literally takes you 5 minutes. Okay.
Sure.
But for me, I was not happy because the higher time frames are key in gold. And then we've actually made some support at 1831. So the way I learned was from someone called Ted. You may have heard him, Ted.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. A
Him
very
and
good
what's that other?
Roger.
Roger. Yeah.
Yeah. So Ted is a very, very good gold trader, but he always uses the higher time frames and mainly the daily, because the 4 hours, the hourlies can have a lot of chalk, a lot of wicks to the left, wicks to the right, a lot of hard zones to take, and you've got to keep the higher time frames with you. So for me, all I was waiting for today was making some support, which we finally got here at 9:30. But for me, that was a bit too late on a London, and then we started to range. And why did we start to range? Because the news came out.
Sure.
So that was so that's why I haven't taken any trades today. But I can take a look and show you potential moves that happened yesterday and other parts of the day. So
well, I had one question too with your gold today. So based on what you've kind of been going through in terms of like how you're sizing up market direction. So you're kind of saying daily chart or higher time frames for gold, sort of still a little bit bullish. So with this structure here today, would this have changed anything? Is it bearish here going forward? What's your bias like going forward? What do you think?
So going forward, these little pullbacks is obviously the news. It still buys all day, every day on gold at the moment because we're closed above this zone. If you take a look at the weekly time frame over here, there is no sells in place at the moment on the higher time frames. So to be honest with you, tomorrow I will probably see gold at least come to 1850 as long as we respect this level. Can you see right now 1827 we're just tapping this resistance, and what do we know when we come back to resistances? We make support. So as long as we in this daily candle, even if it closed bearish, it's not the best, but if this daily candle does not close below 1828, I think the probability that we still continue is very, very good for sure. Because of the fact, this news is very minor. And can you see what also has happened? We pushed all the way down 1822, and can you see we've already retraced quite a lot.
Yep, that candle, I was calling it very ugly on my my stream. It was such a nasty candle, just flew one way and went back the other.
Yeah, but what people are saying, especially Ted always talks about, is this happened for a reason, right? If gold really wanted to go down, why did it stop here? 1824, 1825. Why didn't price, and as I talk about, the hourly as well, if we break below this level, where could we potentially continue down to? Well, we'll continue down to the next support. There's a little minor one there, which is what we tapped, but then it should continue back down to the lows. Now, the way that we've pushed all the way back up suggests to me that banks and big institutions are still looking at these buys because there's no reason that should have stayed there 1822 if we were really sells on gold. And tomorrow is what I'll look for. But the funny thing is my gold trades happen in a very, very small time. So and it's the time of 8 a.m. Eastern. So 8 a.m. Eastern, if you take a look, if you back test it, look at it on the time zones, this is where most of the moves are. So as I said, I was going to show you that little bit one yesterday. I'll take a look here. So the 1 o'clock candle over here just moved straightly, but you can see before the support was held very, very nicely. So if you're taking trades on gold, you've got to know that the volume comes in at 1 o'clock every time. If you backtest it pretty much every single day, as long as price is in a nice uptrend or downtrend, it will follow the daily trend. Okay.
Sure.
In most instances. So for me, the buys all over here were at 8 a.m. You can take a look on everyone's stream on Raja's stream, and they went beautifully when we exceeded these highs with the 8 o'clock, stop loss below the previous zones, which is right at support, which is a beautiful stop. And as you can see over here, we rode it pretty nicely. I think take a look to the left-hand side. This is where you'd potentially look for potential zones. And you can see over here, where's the next resistance? Well, I can see it's right here, right? 1832.
Sure.
So I always look at the left-hand side because that's where price came before. And you can see over here, that's exactly where it tapped over here, this support level. So that's where price was closed off, and that's the trade for the day in London on gold. So 39 pips with a 24 pip stop, 23 pip stop in a 1 15-minute, 30-minute candle. So that's
makes sense. Yeah, that's cool stuff. So you focus mostly on GJ and gold, is that right?
Yeah, they're the only two charts that I trade, and it's because you can get very, very used to them. So it's so different compared to you. I'll switch you back now so you can take a look at your charts. But the difference is massive, isn't it? It's mad how everyone's different.
It really is. I mean, so like I was talking about my pound Swiss trade that I'm in right now, and it's definitely, for me, it's similar stuff. It's all structure and things like that, but it's higher time frame, and part of that is just different schedules, different people, and different preferences. Like there's no right or wrong way. And it's kind of like you were mentioning earlier on in the stream. It's cool to see, different people approaching the markets differently and finding success in their own way. So yeah, I'm mostly a swing trader. So I definitely, I'm looking for just bigger moves and less action on the chart. So like, for example, I was explaining earlier, I took this buy off of support. I've been holding this trade. And once we started breaking structure higher, I definitely started just trailing stops. And that's another difference, right? So I don't use take profits. I trail stops and let winners run, that sort of thing.
I mean, to be honest with you, I do trail stops on the 15 if there is enough room. That's where I'll probably trail it on the 15 or the 30-minute. But yeah, your chart there that I see in GBP Chuff, I can actually see in the hourly time frame potential entries for me. Obviously, it's on the hourly, so I'd have to look at the lower time frames. But right away, you've got your stop there. Is exactly, it makes sense to me 100%.
Yep, because you had that consolidation, break off that low, and pretty much I don't want to see it clear back under there because then it kind of nullifies that move recently. So it is similar stuff, and you can kind of read along with it even if you're not.
Oh, for sure. Well, I can see. Well, your stop there. If price comes back below that stop, it's coming back into that zone, isn't it? Why would you want price to come back in that zone? So beautiful, well, exactly.
And actually, to go off of that, GBP JPY was another trade that I took. You can see my order entry there and then closed here, which of course in hindsight looks kind of silly when it keeps running, but I closed it. And then I decided, I'm still bullish on the pound. You mentioned fundamentals. We talk heavily about fundamentals. So I went back and I was like, well, I still want to buy pound, and Swiss franc against the pound was looking a little bit attractive, took the buy and was able to ride it up anyways. So I do probably trade a little bit wider of a range of markets, but I can understand if you're more scalping and paying attention short-term to a couple select charts that you get really accustomed to,
Interested in seeing our trades live as they happen? By joining the A1 Trading Discord, you'll get a notification every time one of our traders enters a position. Each trade we share comes with an entry price, a stop loss, and most importantly, a full breakdown of why the trade was taken. Learn alongside our experienced traders, join our active chat room, and ask your questions in our coaching webinars. Between our team of active traders, we trade Forex pairs, commodities like gold and oil, crypto, and stocks. By joining the group, you'll be able to keep up with all of it. Sign up today using the link in the description, and don't forget to use our promo code listed below for a special subscriber discount. Thanks for watching, and see you inside.